I'm Matt Marshall, CEO of VentureBeat. I'm talking today with Archie Deskus, EVP and CIO of PayPal. And we're discussing PayPal's commitment to sustainable and environmentally friendly investments in the data center in light of the explosion of data-hungry applications that require ever more processing. Welcome, Archie.
Thanks, Matt. It's great to be here with you.
So Archie, I've been following PayPal for a few years now in terms of its data center investments because it has been vocal about moving to the cloud. PayPal has had this strategy of a zero data center ownership, and part of that is a commitment to reducing power consumption and the environmental footprint. Where are you in that journey?
Yeah, so look, we're hybrid. When we look at PayPal Core, which is now, 20 plus years, that was built on-prem, run on-prem. And so we've taken components of that stack. And as we've modernized, we've moved some of that to public cloud as well. Our real-time data is on-prem, and we're still looking at modernization options. And within that, we're looking for partners that are committed, to the environment and green. And we continue to optimize our data center floor space as well as the utilization of our computing assets. Over time, we've really gone to high levels of utilization, which we didn't have previously.
Thanks, Archie, for the overview. So there's the distinction between real time and then the runtime. Can you talk a little bit about what are the biggest challenges of those areas that you've just referred to? What are the things that keep you up at night?
I think being sustainable as we scale is also really important. And so as you grow, right, the reality is we do need more computational power, more storage, et cetera. And so how do we do that in a responsible way? We also, like other organizations, we have peak periods, right? Think about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Super Bowl. We will have multiplier in terms of our transactional volume on, about 20 days during the year. And so for us to have the ability to be able to scale and burst as we need that capacity versus the fixed capacity. So over the past year, we've put bursting capacity into play where we can burst into public cloud. So we've spent time doing data center consolidation, looking at asset utilization, whether it's on the computing storage side. We've also, on the data side, like in any large organization, we have had a lot of data sprawl. And so, bringing that back in terms of, the amount of data that gets replicated, by different groups and usage, how do we reclaim some of that, virtualization, containerization, all those things have helped us to get to much higher levels of utilization. And, I think we've gotten to much higher levels, but for us, the journey isn't complete. Like our aspiration is to keep, being as efficient and optimized as possible.
Thanks for that. When you talk about the energy ecosystem and the need for more collective action in various areas, can you talk specifically about where you see the main challenges and the main opportunities?
All users of data, anybody who's involved in product development. I think those are areas that are ripe still for us to think about efficient code, efficient ways that we're accessing, retrieving data. The use cases that we're going after, they're not all created equal. So are we, focused on those use cases that really matter and not, just, letting, rampant behavior in an organization. And then, like I said, through all these partners too, it's easy to create, right? And to stand up, whether it's infrastructure assets, data assets, products, analytics, the list goes on and on, but are we in a life cycle mode, right? Where we're continuously looking and saying, are we utilizing those assets? And it's not just about creating new capabilities, but how are we also, looking at these other aspects and looking at true life cycle management?
Great. Archie, you talked about the data sprawl problem. We're seeing that across the board. We've had lots of conversations with big market cap companies like PayPal, MasterCard, or Verizon, Citi, or just in recent weeks, and they're all dealing with some element of this. It seems like an industry trend where everyone jumped on the cloud. It was very easy because of all the savings and efficiencies there, but all of a sudden they turned around with all these acquisitions and they're finding this sprawl. You made a distinction to focus on real time data. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, for PayPal, we process a tremendous amount of real time transactional data for our customers. And so to keep latency to an absolute minimum for our customers, it was really imperative for us to have, our data systems hosted, close to where we are. As I explained, our PayPal core stack is, tightly coupled. And so as we start to decouple, having our data separated all over the place, it's going to cause problems in terms of performance and, latency considerations. And so to that point, when we were looking at our strategy and thinking about moving more to the cloud, we still have, like I said, our real-time on-prem. And also just with the tremendous amount of data, that's required sometimes to go back and forth here. We have a multitude of analytics solutions across our portfolio that we're trying to converge and consolidate so that we get, true view of our customers across, all of our brands. And so that's a big part of the journey that we're on with GCP today, is to bring all that analytics together. It's been about 2 years, and we will be done in the first half of next year with that migration.
So you mentioned the explosion of AI and ML and putting the pressure on more processing needs, Archie. Most people we've been talking with say, and in terms of the biggest companies we're talking with, say that it's still an experimental phase, very early, and presumably a lot of that processing need is yet to come. Can you talk about whether that is yet to come, or whether you're seeing the brunt of that now, or you're seeing the beginnings of those challenges?
Look, I think for a number of organizations, including ours, we've been in the AI machine learning space for a while. So the needs have been growing. Right now with generative AI, it will go yet another a higher level, right? And that is just at the tip of the iceberg, as you say. A lot of it right now is still experimentation and really understanding, the value and the power and what it's going to take. We know that these, use cases and applications generate and require massive amounts of data. And so it really becomes critical that we've got like high performing and efficient data storage and retrieval solutions. We contain the data sprawl and the replication. So I think there's a lot in that space. We think about hybrid and cloud strategies. I talked a little bit about, bursting. Cloud providers are, also, offering specialized AI and ML services, right, which can alleviate some of that processing, because I think they will do it in a more optimized way than maybe some of us, can on our own. I think adopting HPC solutions or GPUs, specialized AI hardware, thinking about distributed computing clusters on where we have complex calculations and data needs for AI models. I think we need to think about how we scale for that performance, and I think there's the right technologies that can help us there. And so things like identifying efficient algorithms, thinking about how much data do you really need. I think, the belief is always that more data is better. And I think as we get more mature, we find that that's not always true. And then also how complex, do we need a lot of these models to be, right? I know even in our own organization, the tendency is we always want the latest and the greatest and the best, right? So, we've had a lot of conversations internally on things like GPT 3.5 versus 4.0, and what's appropriate to use when, right? And so I think case by case, like opting for, what are the real needs and what technology solutions solve them, versus thinking that it's always more, and the best that's out there, right? So we're trying to really work that. And then the last piece I would add is, a skilled workforce. not only our employees, but other, partners that we work through. We saw this with cloud, right? Where, I think we started on that journey. We didn't have, I think, all the skills that we needed, and we learned, right? We learned through some of our mistakes. We learned, that we didn't do things in an optimal way, and it came back, I think, to a lot of the, skill sets that we all have, right? It's they're hot skills. Everybody needs and wants them, and so, but there are complexities, right? As we get into, just like we got into cloud. Now, as we think about, kind of AI and generative AI and machine learning and the growth that we're seeing, like we need to invest in making sure that we're training and hiring people that are thinking about these types of, opportunities, but also some of the challenges, and that, can bring creative solutions to addressing this in the right way.
Archie, one final question we like asking of VentureBeat. We can keep her brief. I'm going to put you on the spot, but are there any lessons you learned from those professional endeavors, right? These big tasks you have that you're taking back into your personal life?
Great question. I think for me, one is about lifelong learning. I think you're supposed to be the expert and have answers to everything, right? And I think when you look at a lot of these complex, problems that large organizations face, I think what you learn is, learning is never done.
Thank you very much for joining us today and for letting us know where you are in your journey. Congratulations on what you've done, and we're looking forward to tracking you over time.
Thanks, Matt. It's been great to be here with you.
And thank you for watching. For more stories about the tech revolution, subscribe to our newsletters and check out our other VB in Conversation videos at VentureBeat.com.